Hey guys, I'm Jordan and you're watching Fixbook. But 10 seconds before we get started, I made this video to help you, so please help me if it helps you. It only takes a second or two. It's a great help if you subscribe, like, and or leave a comment down below. That's it. Let's get started. Alright guys, and the first thing you're going to do is you're going to remove this intake manifold tube.
Can you take it off?
And
I don't know how you're going to take it off.
or the air duct, and just disconnects right there. Just gonna disconnect it from right here and then twist and jiggle it right there, and it should come right off like so. Next thing we're gonna do is we will take off your clutch slave cylinder right here. It's the 2 bolts down there, the 12mm bolts. The thing we're gonna do is remove this little air box here, and starting out here with a 10mm bolt right there. And to remove that air box, there was the 1 bolt right there. Then there's also that one right there that the flashlight is on, and then there's also one right in there, the other one you can see. And then there'll also be a plastic piece that's kind of surrounded around that, and you just slip the box out and it'll come off that little nub right there. And the next thing we're going to do is remove this bracket here. It's holding your ground cable and also the clutch cylinder fluid line right there. And you're going to see it is 1 bolt right there and the other on the other side right over there. You can see it. So once we get done with that, we'll move on to the next. Once you've got the 2 bolts out of that bracket right there holding your line in, you're going to take this last bracket off over here for your clutch fluid line, and then the clutch fluid line will be completely disconnected from the transmission. Once you've got that last clutch fluid line bracket removed, we can now move on to the starter. It's going to be 2 bolts. I believe it's 1 14mm bolt up there, if you can kind of see at the top, and then down below there will be a 17mm bolt right under it. You can kind of feel it. It's hard for me to catch it on camera here, but once I get it removed, I'll show you and check it out. The next thing you're gonna do is remove the 2 wires from the starter. The one will just be that big boot sitting right there. And Desi, can you hold that for me? Right there. And I'm just gonna pull that bolt over, and that's a 10mm bolt. And if you scoot it, just like hold it right like that. And then the other one is right down there. I think that one just slides off. Let's see. Yeah, that one just unplugs. You just pull that off, take your 2mm bolt and slip that off, and the starter will come right off. You also will have to make sure you get these wires and all that off, sitting on the top of that starter and bracket. And the next thing we're going to do is make sure we remove all these wires connected to the transmission. Obviously when you drop the transmission, you don't want to pull in any wires and breaking your wires off. So I start out right here with this little bracket here holding that reverse light wire in. I'm just going to unplug that and then just work my way around and make sure I get all the wires that are connected unhooked and free from the falling transmission, so they are safe. Alright, and once you've got all those wires disconnected, we got the one here, which is your backup light, and disconnect that. And then we also have a vehicle speed sensor right over there, which you disconnect, just squeeze and pull out. And that's just about it. I do believe I may be leaving something out here, but you should be able to figure it out. So, next thing we're going to do is take off all the transmission mounting bolts, and we're going to leave just one till we get ready to drop the transmission. And next step will be to lift up the car and start to do all the stuff that we need to do underneath the car. The next thing we're going to do, once I've got all the bolts except the one mounting bolt up here off the top, is I'm going to go and I'm going to try and get this bracket right off right here, which requires you to remove these 3 bolts. There's 1, 2, and then 1 on the bottom. And then there's a mount sitting in there. I'll show you here in just a second. A mount sitting right there, and it's got I believe it's 2 15mm bolts, one right there and one back there, and you remove those and you'll get that bracket out of the way, so it'll be easier to pull down the transmission. once you've got everything done up here on the top, the next thing you're going to want to do is raise the vehicle. And it's very dark outside, so this could be hard to see, but I'll show you here in just a second. Alright guys, and once you've got it up jacked up here, and I know it's not the best jack stand job you've ever seen, but next thing you're going to do is take both the wheels off, and then we'll start to get the axles out. Alright, and once you've got your wheel off and you're where I'm at right now, the next thing we're going to want to do is we'll remove the two castle nuts with the cotter keys in there. You'll take your pair of dikes and just wiggle those cotter pins out. And then I believe this one's a 14, and I believe that one under there is a 17 millimeter. And once you take those off, you can swing the knuckle out and remove the axle. And first, I forgot to tell you right here, you also have the axle nut, which if it's a Civic, I believe it's a 32 millimeter. And once you get that removed and those two castle nuts I told you about, then you should be able to just swing the knuckle and pull the axle out. And let's take a look when I get done with it, and then I'll show you and we'll make it easier for you. Alright, so you've got all those bolts off. The next challenge you got here is removing the lower control arm from the knuckle where the ball joint kind of connects them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to swing a hammer and hopefully should break it loose. If not, I will have a link that'll take you to the other video that'll show you how to break these loose with a special tool. So just look for that link, it should be up right now. And once you get all this done, we're going to pry the axle over here. We're going to pry it and break it loose from the transmission. Alright, and once you've broken your ball joint nut loose there, we're now onto the axle itself, which is still connected to the transmission. Alright, and as you can see here, there will be a little lip right back here. What you're going to do is take a big screwdriver or pry bar and just kind of stick it back there and wedge, and it'll pop right out. Alright, and once you've got your axle out, you can see there, should be able to see here the axle's hanging and back in there. Oh, I can't get it. There you go. The axle is out. Once you've got that out, we're gonna go ahead and just drain the rest of what's in the transmission. Honestly, I should have probably did that before I pulled the axle out, but it's okay either way. And a good thing to check before you pull the axle out is the axle seal, if it's damp or anything, because that would indicate a axle seal leak. So if you do have that, go ahead and get you a new set of axle seals and replace those while you're here. Alright guys, and the next thing we will be doing is taking off this this shift bar right here, and I'm choosing to take the middle bar off right there where I'm pointing at, and then I will take the other bar, which is that bar, off by the transmission. And I know that is not the best way to do it, but for the sake of how things look and my know-how, that's just how I'm gonna do it, and we'll show you here once we get it off. And by the way, here, this is the linkage by the closer to the transmission, and this one here I'm shining my light directly on. That's the one I'll be taking off by the actual shift knob itself underneath it. And right here, I'm just going to take that bolt out right here, and that's the other bar. So both bars will be disconnected so the transmission can fall down. And once you get done unhooking the shift linkage bars, it should look something like this, like a little cross section you got. And when you drop the transmission, this one bar will be attached and you'll just pull it out. The next thing we're gonna do here is remove this little flywheel slash dust shield thing, and there's a 10 millimeter bolt right there. And if we peek around here, you will find, if I can find it, there you go, I think it's a 12 or 14 millimeter bolt right there. And I believe those are just the only two bolts holding that little shield. So once we take that out, we'll drop the shield, and then we'll continue on getting these transmission mounting bolts. There's two of them there. We'll get those out, and we're almost ready to drop the transmission. And while we're down here on the ground, the next thing we're gonna get going on here is we're gonna remove these 10 millimeter bolts, and we're gonna take this plastic dust shield guard thingy off. So we'll have more clearance for the transmission, and so we'll get it out of the way. Now, once you've taken these two bolts out here, you will notice that this one bolt over here won't go out because of the exhaust pipe there. That's fine, once you go to lower it down, the bolt isn't actually still caught on the transmission, so it'll still drop right down and then the bolt will come out. Just remember to stick it back in before you raise the transmission back up when you go to put it back in. The next thing we're going to be doing over here is, you should be able to see, yeah, right over here. See those two bolts? Those are 17mm bolts. And there should be one back over here, which I'm not showing too well, but you will be able to see it. Right. Oh, right there, I believe. And once we get these out, we'll take this bracket out, and then we should be ready to go back up top and drop the transmission. And one last thing, you'll see that bolt right there, and then directly above vertical of that one right there, there will be another transmission mounting bolt. You take those two out, and then that will be the last transmission mounting bolt on the bottom that you need to remove. Once you've got all those bolts out from the bottom and everything's in the clear pretty much, there's one bolt I missed here. Well, the one I told you about when I was on the ground, I was like, that bolt way back there. It's easier to get to right up here, and see that little mount, it's on the other end, kind of, if you can see here. I'll zoom in. It's on the other side of that mount, right back behind there. And it's a 17mm, and you take that out. And then we are at your last bolt holding the transmission in, which is right there. And once we take that out, we'll just put the jack under the transmission and take it out, wiggle the transmission out, and then we'll pull that pressure plate off and slap the new clutch in. Once you got that last bolt out, you can see I got it taken out. It was right around there. It was a 17mm, and you can see the pointing at this guy. Right there was the first one that you got around the top transmission mounting bolts. Then down here, you can see those bolts sticking out. I'm stuck them back in. That's the two you got from the bottom. So you're just gonna pull this black bracket out, and then we'll get the last ones over here. Maybe it is. And we're gonna take these out right here, which will be that little kind of side transmission mount, and then we'll finally take our last mounting bolt over at the top over there, and then we'll drop the transmission. Alright, and once you've got all of your transmission mounting bolts out, what you're going to do is you'll have your transmission just slightly lifting on the transmission, and then that's what you want to do when you take your last one out. Then you'll slowly lower the jack so you crack the connection between the transmission and the engine, and you're looking for something, let's see, something like that. You want the transmission and engine to be separated, and I'm getting an awful shot. There you go. And then you're just gonna pick up on it right here towards the end, and you're gonna wiggle up and down and twist it and turn it until you can actually pull it all the way down, and then you'll let the jack all the way down, and then your pressure plate will be exposed. And there we go. After just a little bit more wiggling, there's your pressure plate right there. You can see, and I've set the transmission down right there. There's your input shaft, and see if we can't get a better look. Yeah, that's your those are your fork springs, and I'm gonna take the pressure plate off and show you how to change the clutch, and then you'll see all the good stuff in there. Alright, what you'll do is you'll take your bolts here holding the pressure plate off, which are 10mm 12-point sockets. So if you don't have one, go to the store. Most of your cheap sockets are 12-point sockets anyway, so just grab you a 10mm one and take these off one at a time. Now, if you're not using air like I am, then you're going to have to take a big screwdriver and wedge in one of these holes to keep the flywheel from spinning on you, which you will find to be a difficult task, but I'm sure you can do it. So let's take a look. Once you get your clutch out, you are looking at it right like this. So you take your pressure plate off, and this is the flywheel side of the clutch, and that is the pressure plate side of the clutch. Now remember, when you put your new clutch in, always make sure this part that's sticking out, there will always be a flywheel side. And it should say on your new clutch, the flywheel side, or it should say flywheel. Hey guys, I just wanted to kind of pause in the video here real quick. I did want to let y'all know that my filming conditions were not ideal, so I didn't have the opportunity to do any kind of retakes. As you can see in this part of the video we're at right now, you can see I mixed my words up quite a bit, so I do apologize. I'd like for the quality of the video to be better than they can be sometimes, but the conditions that were available just were bad, so I couldn't retake and stuff. So I just wanted to take this short amount of time to let you guys know. I know that the videos, well, especially this series, are not always perfect. So I'm sorry about that. When I can, I'll make sure to always do retakes and stuff, and make sure it's always the best of quality that I can do. Well, thanks for watching, and let's get back to the video. On this side or something like that, but it'll always be the side sticking out. Unless of course it said flywheel. I mean, it would never do that, but just make sure this sticking out goes towards the pressure plate. Now you can see that all of the material on the pressure plate side, it's kind of hard to see here, but you can see it's been worn away. This one was pretty much shot. So, and now let's take a look at the flywheel. And now let's take a look at the flywheel here. And you're gonna want to take the flywheel off too. And I believe those are 17 millimeter bolt, 12-point socket is what you use. And you're always going to want to resurface the flywheel. You can take that to a parts store and have it resurfaced, or get a clutch kit that comes with a flywheel. You never just want to throw a new clutch in there and risk having to take it apart again. So, and if you do, when you take those flywheel bolts off, I'm not going to show it, but when you go to put them back on, it's 87 foot-pounds. When you put them back on, it's important. Another thing you can change, which I'm not going to do today just because we're not going to do it, but you'll see that little bearing in there, and if you take a screwdriver and hit on the side of it, you can kind of get it wedged out, and then you'll hit it back in with a socket. If you're taking on a task like this, I'd assume you'd know what I'm talking about, how to get that in and out. So that's just for you to know about the flywheel and the main bearing, the input shaft bearing. Here we're looking at the old clutch and the new clutch. You can see the new one here on the right, and you can see, oh crap. Alright, and you can see how there's a lot of material there in between the little metal divider thing. And on this one, you can see that there's nothing left there on the left side, and just a little bit left on the back flywheel side. So this is what you're looking for. If you took it apart and it looks like this, then you did it for nothing. So sorry about that, but that's it. We're gonna put this new clutch disc in, and we're gonna use the clutch installation tool that was provided with the kit, which is right there. You stick that, hold on, yeah, right here, and it's gonna act as the input shaft and hold it in place while we install the pressure plate. As you can see here, now I'm holding the clutch plate with the installation tool, which this little knob on the end there will stick in the input shaft bearing and hold it while we install the pressure plate, and then reinstall the pressure plate mounting bolts. Alright guys, and before we jump right back into putting that pressure plate, or the clutch disc and pressure plate back on, we're gonna change this throwout bearing right here. And let's see here, stick the light right there, we go. Yeah, we got the new throwout bearing right there, and it's gonna slide right off like here, and you can see the little fork is holding it right back there. Hold it right there, and there we go. And the new one, you're gonna want to make sure before I slide this back on that that little shaft area is really nice and clean, and also it doesn't hurt to put a little bit of grease right there and there as well, just to make sure it's nice and clean and there's no problems shifting, going up and like that to engage and disengage the clutch. And here we go, like I said, and you can just point that up there a little bit, right like that. Just gonna take a little bit of grease here and apply it. There we go. Just make sure it's got grease. Yes, I'm doing this video in an apartment complex. It's crazy. Right in the parking lot. And once it's all nice and clean, you got some grease on there, then that's pretty much it. It's ready to get the brand new throwout bearing in there. And then that's it. I'm gonna leave it up to you guys. Just go ahead, put it all back together all by yourself. No, just kidding. I'm gonna give you the torque specs and everything you need back in order to put the transmission and clutch back together how you're supposed to. Hold it closer. Alright, now you guys are probably wondering how to get this throwout bearing on the fork here. Well, what you gotta do is there's a spring and it's actually pivoting on this ball here. And sorry I can't get a better shot of that, but you're gonna have to reach behind the fork, and you can kind of see there. Can you get closer with the light? You can kind of see there the fork. Just disconnect one of the sides of the fork, and then closer to the left with the light. There you go. Yeah, just kind of disconnect that fork, and then disconnect it from the ball, and then pull it out and slide the throwout bearing on the fork. Now, when you go to put the pressure plate back in, you stick it on the alignment tool. It's kind of hard to see where I'm at, but you'll stick it in where the bearing is, and as you can see, the pressure plate is held on there with the tool, and then you will throw the pressure plate on over top of that, and then torque the pressure plate on to 19 foot-pounds, and you're gonna first snug all the bolts down like I'll show you. Alright, and once you've got your pressure plate bolted back up to the flywheel with the clutch plate in between, you're just gonna well, first you'll start one pressure plate bolt in to hold the pressure plate to the flywheel, and then just kind of put all the other bolts back in and then snug them all down, and then start tightening down in a sequence. You want to kind of do each bolt like 3 times, like work it out to where you do it like that until you eventually get to 19 foot-pounds. You don't want to just crank 19 foot-pounds down on just one bolt and then go to the other. And then you're also going to be working in a crisscross pattern, like you're going to go from one down to that one, down to the next one, over there, there, and there. Like so, there's 6 bolts, I believe. So once you do that, tighten them down 3 times to 19 foot-pounds. Then that's all there is to torquing your pressure plate, and then you'll have your clutch set in there, and then the transmission will be ready to go back in. Alright, and right here I have my torque wrench. This one's in inches, but it's going to be 19 foot-pounds or 228 inch-pounds. In my case, 228 inches. And basically I'll show you here in just a second what it looks like when you go to turn it. And this is the click style, so if you're in Sears or whatever, you're gonna look for a click style torque wrench. But I'll show you what it's gonna look like when I reach the torque. Alright, and I'm just turning the final turn on this bolt here, and you're gonna listen for the click. Did you hear that? So I now know that that bolt is at 19 foot-pounds, and that's how you put the torque on all your bolts. And the rest is pretty much up to you. What you're gonna do when you put the transmission back up is you're going to set the transmission on the jack and have somebody lift it up while you try and shake and wiggle the input shaft back into the clutch pressure plate, and you'll take this out, and the input shaft is what you're trying to get in there. And once you get that back in, there'll be the pins also that you line up with the bell housing or whatever, and you slide that in, and then you'll stick a transmission bolt back in, And for the most part, you can just do a good and tight torque spec, I guess. But if you want something to look at, I guess you could use like 40 foot-pounds. That's a safe number on most of them. Just do that, and that's pretty much all there is to it, guys. Well, thanks for watching, and I'm sure I'll have something to add to this video, so I guess we'll find out. Well, guys, unfortunately that's all the time I have for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video just as much as I did making it, and fortunately you can catch me again right here on Fixbook tomorrow on my next video. Just don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave lots of comments down below. Well, thanks again, guys, for watching, and see you tomorrow right here on Fixbook.